Right, hello everyone, and thank you for joining today's webinar. I'm Ioan Marc Jones, and I'm the head of content here at Charity Digital. I'll be the host and would like to give you all a warm welcome to today. Please do introduce yourselves in the chat, as I think my colleague just prompted you to, and let us know where you're joining from and say hello. Today's webinar will take the form of a fireside chat with Robert Barham-Brown, Senior Manager at the Customer Success Services team at Onboard, and myself. Bob will give a short 15-minute presentation, then we'll just have a bit of a chat, and we encourage you to all to send in your questions as soon as you can. I'll touch on that later, how to do so. We'll explore how charity boards can strengthen oversight, improve decision making, and build long-term resilience by embracing digital-first governance practices. First, I just want to give a quick introduction to Charity Digital. We are a registered UK charity, and our mission is to help other charities increase their impact by being more digital. House rules for today's sessions are pretty simple. The session is being recorded, as some of you will know. I think you just got a prompt as well, and we will upload it on demand within a week's time. Any slides that are shared today, which you can see on the screen, will be shared after the fact and made available to you. So don't worry if you miss anything. Just can hear the presenter. Sorry, just can everyone else hear me okay? Presumably. Okay, I'm just going to carry on because yeah, bro, I'm just going to carry on. There are closed captions available for today's session. To enable these, in the bottom of the Zoom window, click the up arrow next to closed caption, then click show subtitles. During the webinar, please feel free to ask questions in the Q&A section, which is located in the Zoom menu bar, and we'll address these as we go along and as me and Bob are having a chat. If someone asks a question that feels relevant or pertinent to you, you can upvote it. So just click on the thumbs up icon and this will upvote automatically. That gives us a chance to see which questions we can answer most pressingly so that we get a kind of answer to the questions you all care about the most. Finally, if you do encounter any sound or image issues, please let us know in the chat and we'll do our very best to get the session back to normal as soon as possible. That's all from me. I'm going to hand you over to Bob now. Thank you.
Lovely. Thank you, Ewan. Appreciate that. Okay, so it's nice to be able to join you all today. So, as Ewan said, my name is Robert Barham-Brown. Everybody calls me Bob. I may have been on some of these before. You may have seen me before. So, I'm Bob. Nice to meet you all. So, I'd like to also say thank you for joining us and welcome to this webinar about digital governance and how to build a resilient board. If you've not heard of Onboard, and that's the organization I work for, prior today, here's a little bit of who we are. We're a board meeting management and governance software company, and our goal is to inspire and enable board-led organizations to do the best work they can in a digital world. Today, we serve more than 6,000 customers, over 2,000 of which are not for profit. And there are currently around 12,000 committees in these 6,000 customers. The Onboard platform hosts around 150,000 meetings each year, and we currently operate in around 60 countries across the world. I look after UK and Australia teams as well, so I have a broad understanding of charities around the world. So as Ewan said, participation is enjoyable when you're on these things. So we've got a couple of polls that we would like to ask you to participate in today. It helps us just understand where you currently are, who you are, and how we can help you. So we're going to have a first poll. First poll is open. And the first poll question is your organization's governance currently digitalized? And when we say digitalized, I mean your board papers, your approvals, meetings, document storage. So we've got some emails here. Oops, I think we've got our slightly different responses to what I've got on mine. So how does your board currently manage meetings and materials, governance documents? Okay, so I think we've got our polls around the wrong way. It's not a problem. So if you would be able to answer that poll for me, please. Do you currently send your meeting documents out via email and PDF? Do you use a shared drive, such as Google Drive or SharePoint? Do you have a dedicated board portal? Is there a mix of several, or are you not too sure at the moment because you're not a trustee? So if we could have a go at answering that one for me, please? That would be great, and we'll keep it open for a little bit longer. Okay, so don't know how, I can't actually see how many people have voted yet, so I'll leave it up to those people in the background who are running all these polls for me to close. Here we go. Oh, and there's the answers. Right, okay. Hmm. Surprisingly, I would have expected there to be more people on a dedicated board portal, to be honest with you. Jon, I don't know whether you want to jump in here and say anything, but these are similar sort of results that we get to see when we do other things like that. Is this something that you've experienced as well, Ioan, with the number of people who are not digital at the moment?
Yeah, exactly that. And I mean, particularly interesting around share drives,
Yeah.
and just wonder how that impacts cybersecurity and things like that. My immediate thought, I'd love to know what the mix of the other tools are as well,
Yeah,
if it's
so would
not
I.
those.
Yes, the people who answered a mix of the tools, please do put that in the chat of what you're actually using. That'd be great to have a look. I have got a slide on shared drives and things like that going forward, so that'll be interesting to see. Excellent. Thank you for taking part in that one. So if we can close this one and go on to the next poll, and I've actually got the next poll down as slightly different. So my poll two is what we've got. So if we can close the results down on this one, please, and open up the next poll, that would be great. So I can still see the results. Okay. We're having some technical problems with our polls. Are you still seeing that, Ioan?
Yeah, I
The
think
yeah.
it should only be a matter of moments, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, there's
Excellent.
Olivia mentioned having never heard of a board portal. I think
Oh, right. Okay.
we're in
Well,
luck.
hopefully we will show you what a board portal can do and have a few discussions on what a board portal and how it can help you. So that'll be quite cool. So
Yeah. And then currently PDF and email meetings are a combination of
yeah.
Teams and in person.
Okay.
So that's from two people saying currently PDF and email, but pushing to own them, move them to their own SharePoint is an interesting one.
Okay, so that'll be interesting as well with regards to SharePoint. We do see lots of customers using SharePoint now, and when they see a board portal, they think, yeah, let's move away from SharePoint. So that'll be interesting. Cool. Right.
Just 1 second, we're going to try and launch it again, just
Okay.
if we just bear in mind. Uh,
Yeah.
so, uh, yeah, shouldn't be a moment.
Cool.
Board's using WhatsApp quite a bit, says Karen Morton. Interesting.
Ooh. WhatsApp. Okay. Yeah. WhatsApp.
Yeah,
I'm gonna make a note
this
of that.
Bob, I'm
Yeah.
hearing the production. There's an issue with the poll, so if we just move on and maybe we can get it launched later.
Yep, cool. I'm happy with that. Okay. Right. So I'm going to skip poll two then. And can you all see that slide? All right. Is that looking all right for you, Ian? Yep. Okay. Excellent. So we run a number of surveys throughout the year as an organization. We run one for people who are using Onboard, and we also open it up to people who are not using Onboard. This one we've done, and it's in relation to AI and not-for-profit adoption, and how we're seeing that across the boards. So we asked the question, have you used AI in the last 180 days? And you can see that 84% of the people on here said yes. We then also said, if you haven't used AI, do you plan to use it in the next 180 days? 73% of people said yes, which is showing that AI is becoming more and more used in all parts of our life. We then asked them again, what would you consider using AI? Oh, sorry, would you consider using AI to support your meetings? And there were 70% of people said yes. Now this is amazing, and I think it was a really good result. Um, we also did a what we call survey. I can't remember the actual name of the survey in 2025. And in that survey, that was the first time we asked our board participants about AI use. And there was some amazing results from that as well on how they're currently using AI, what AI tools they're using, etc. So that report is downloadable from free of charge from the website if you're interested in seeing how other boards are developing and stuff like that. I'm sure I can get a link across for that to be shared as well. So yeah, 70% said they would use AI to support their meetings. So digital governance and resilient trustees. Let's have a look and see what we think. Oops, sorry. So digital governance. The image on the screen now is not what we call as digital governance. You can see shared drive, you can see email, and this poor lady who's trying to collate and add all these documents into an envelope for their board members. So you are aware, I have been here and I have done this as a governance officer in an education organisation. And I was so pleased to see that we got rid of the binding machine a few months after I started and went to a board portal. So the survey I was just discussing, we had respondents come back once the question we asked is, how are you using or sending out your board papers? 57% of them responded with PDF and emails. Very similar to the results that we've had today. 13% were still supplying paper printouts, which I couldn't believe in 2025 people were still doing paper printouts. 31% responded with digital tools. And that 31%, when we did a breakdown, 75% of which were actually Office tools such as Microsoft and Google Drive, very similar to what we've got today. But this really isn't digital governance. Digital governance means how to oversee, make decisions, and enable leadership to be able to access information easily when needed. Now, this slide could look a bit daunting. There's lots of things that you've got up here about what we'd need to do and what you need to look after, such as protecting about digital data and cyber attacks. But if you actually decide to go digital and you select the correct platform, you won't have any of these problems because the platform will resolve all the issues for you. So I'm going to ask a couple of honest questions. Are you and your trustees comfortable patching things together, sharing confidential information across tools that are easy to access, but not necessarily secure? Yeah. Are you confident that everyone knows where to find the latest version of a policy? Or are people still digging through complex share drives, which we've already got response, hoping that they find the right document? Because this is what we all see in all different organizations. They're relying on a mix of emails, shared drives, and ad hoc systems. Now, this works until it doesn't actually work. And when it doesn't work, the risks are real. Sensitive information ends up in the wrong place. Trustees are working from outdated documents. Time is wasted searching instead of making decisions. Digital governance isn't just about paperless, it's about giving trustees a single, secure, reliable place to access what they need when they need it. So when we talk about selecting the right tools, we're actually talking about three things. We're talking about security, simplicity, and confidence. So you need to be able to put those at the forefront when selecting what you're thinking about digital governance. So then another question is, are your trustees stuck working around the limitations of poor systems, or are they truly a resilient board? Because resilient trustees look very different. They're able to adopt to change, not react to it at the last minute. But they stay ahead of it as well. So they're looking on what they're already using in other organizations, thinking we could be using this in this organization. They're confident decision makers with the right information at their fingertips, not buried in boxes or scattered across folders. They understand the role that technology and data play, not as a burden, but as a thing to enable them for better governance. And importantly, they stay focused on the long-term mission, and that's the sustainability of the organization, rather than getting caught up in the operational risks and friction. Ultimately, resilient trustees are able to act in the best interest of the organization because they have clarity, confidence, and control. And the resilience doesn't just come from people, it comes from giving them the right digital operations and functionality to be able to operate effectively. Now let's take a step back and let's look at the bigger picture. Many boards are still relying on manual processes. Emails flying backwards and forwards, PDFs being downloaded and resent, documents stored across shared drives. I know I've mentioned this a lot, but this is what is happening. And then often a lot of last minute coordination before meetings. Be interesting if anybody's prepared to put in the chat how many times they're about to go into a meeting and somebody says, oh, that paper has changed. So you've got a last minute update. Now, that might feel manageable on a day-to-day process, but when you spend and speed up and you need clarity and you need to rely on these documents, it doesn't work. Discussions take longer, information gets missed, and confidence in the data that you are supplied starts to slip. What modern digital governance does is it removes that friction. It brings everything together into one centralized, secure platform so that your trustees, your administrators, and anybody else that you give access to are all working from the same information, excuse me, in the same place. Being able to prepare becomes easier, collaboration becomes easier and more effective, and governance becomes more proactive rather than reactive. So, excuse me, understanding the benefits of digital governance again, taking advantage of technology. And this is where things start to get even more further forward. The most intuitive governance devices and solutions don't just centralize information, they actively support better decision making by integrating secure, purpose-built AI tools. They take care of the routine time consuming in the background. So you can ask AI to do things for you. So it's not routine. You're skipping that. Things like organizing papers, highlighting key insights, and surfacing what actually matters. So instead of a trustee spending time searching, sorting, and second guessing, they can focus on what they are, where they need to be, and what they need to do to make informed strategic decisions. And crucially, this isn't about adding complex or risk. It's about using AI in a controlled, secure way. Designed specifically for governance, so the right information reaches the right people exactly at the right time. So I've done some screen grabs of what our AI looks like, so you can understand how it's being used in our boardrooms currently. We've had a massive uptake on our AI. So we have an AI assistant, and it's designed to specifically support boards and trustees. The AI assistant can, in this case, summarize documents instantly. So instead of reading hundreds of pages, trustees can quickly get to the key points. It helps identify key risks, surfacing the issues that may need your attention before they become a problem. It can even help promote better discussion by giving trustees clearer and more digestible information to engage with. So again, this isn't about replacing judgment. It's about enhancing it, giving trustees better visibility, better context, and ultimately better outcomes. Another area in AI is meeting management. And we have been looking at meeting minutes AI. We currently have this available. So traditionally, capturing accurate minutes is time consuming. It's very manual, and it's often done under pressure during a meeting and after the meeting. Now, AI changes that completely. Our AI, it captures the meeting as it happens, automatically generating draft minutes, so nothing is missed. Excuse me. And there's far less resilience on handwriting notes and using your memory to say, oh, did they actually say that or not? And at the end, you can replay your audio and video at any point, giving you full transparency, and you can then make sure that your records are accurate, ready for discussion. It also provides a full transcript, making it easy to search and verify exactly what was said. Ultimately, this reduces admin, improves accuracy, and gives the boards greater confidence in their governance process. Oh, looks like I've had a bit of a technical issue as well. My slides out of, out of order. I should have put the AI agenda before the AI minutes, so sorry about that. Anyway, another tool we have is the agenda creation. So again, traditionally building an agenda can be a fairly manual process because you're pulling content from previous meetings, you're looking at your actions and everything and making sure that it's structured correctly. Our agenda AI simplifies that completely, gives you the flexibility to generate an agenda in the way that suits how you work. You can simply describe the structure of what you want using natural language, and the system will build it for you. Or if you've already got your draft content, you can drag it into Onboard and it will add it to the platform and will organize and format it into a clear and structured agenda. So instead of starting from scratch each time, you can accelerate this process and you can have your agenda done for you. I think the last one that I've got on here is what we call our Book AI. So Book AI is similar to Assist AI in the value add. It provides book section summarization specifically to support trustees preparation. So rather than working through every page in sequence, users can start with clear preparation, and it gives them guidance, helping them to understand where to focus their attention. It then breaks the pack down into sections, summarizes, making it easier to absorb, and then you can see the key themes and issues. It also highlights key decisions that need your attention so you can prepare for the discussions that really matter. And if you need it, it can go even deeper with individual document summarizations, giving a clear view of each paper. The result again is better preparation, stronger participation, and more confident decisions being made in the meeting itself. So AI, we all hear a lot about AI. We see a lot of AI. Do we all know what AI actually is? We don't. So I would always say to you, dive into what you're looking at. Make sure you have a good question about their AI. I've put up here about AI security. We are a strong board portal across the globe, and we pride ourselves on the security that we offer to our users. Onboard is built in Microsoft Azure. Each of our customers' platforms are isolated, they are encrypted, and they are protected by independently audited globally recognized security standards, such as ISO 27001, sorry, and ISO 27701. I always get them ones muddled up. And we also hold certificates for SOC 2 Type 2 security certificates. So we are completely secure and we are within the GDPR standards. And we always ensure that our customers' data remains secure, private, and fully under their control. So we're not controlling it in any way. We also say that Onboard's AI leverages the power of the content for you and you only to bring clarity, insight, context, and to summarize to help you and your boards work faster. So I've got a little picture up here of Onboard AI. We actually have embraced AI within Onboard's organization as a whole. We have a little AI bot, and he's called Obi, and he's been introduced into our support. We hear quite often that people say, "Oh, AI is it here to take our place?" And that was discussed as well in our organization. Why are we introducing this bot? Is this going to mean that our technical support people are going to be leaving? No, it's not. Hasn't done that at all. So there's always natural concerns. It's not here to replace people, even though we think it is. And it can feel that way, especially when it starts automating tasks that used to take time and effort, such as answering any technical problems that we have from our customers. But the reality is very different. AI isn't here to replace us, our trustees, our administrators, or our executives. It's here to support them. It takes care of the repetitive, time-consuming work so that we can focus on what really matters. Better discussions, better judgment, better decisions. In the context of governance, that's crucial. The value of the board isn't in processing information, it's in interpreting it, challenging it, and acting on it. And that's something that AI doesn't replace, it enhances. So rather than thinking of AI as an enemy, it's far more powerful to see it as a trusted assistant, one that helps you and your board work faster, with more clarity, and with greater confidence. So just going back to our Obi, we rely on Obi a lot. Our customer responses have been Obi's absolutely brilliant because he's so quick. And it allows our technical support team to be able to actually focus on issues that are bigger than what Obi can actually work on. So we have embraced AI within the organization, and we really hope that people such as yourselves also embrace it. Um, I hope that was a help. So we're going to go into Q&A now, if that's okay. Would you like me to stop sharing my screen so we can
Yeah.
see? Yeah.
Thanks, Bob. That was really great. Interestingly, we asked the poll to the chat, and most people said they were either using AI or interested but exploring cautiously, which is
Uh,
probably. I do have a. If anyone's not using it, I'd like to know why. That might be quite interesting if you could let us know. But does that surprise you at all?
um, yes and no. I still think some people are a bit hesitant. Um, but I think we're all inquisitive on what it can do. And just so you know, the images on those slides today were all created using AI. So you saw a shared drive there. I actually asked AI to create a complex shared drive with lots of folders, lots of documents in, and that's what it came back as. So it's just, and even the image of the lady stuffing those envelopes was created using AI. I just asked it to create it, and that's what it did. So it's blowing. It helped me create those slides today, whereas I would have to look at images and search for images or ask if we've got any stock images. So yeah, we use it a lot.
Wow, great. Kara makes an important point, I think, which is important to check through some of the accuracy still. Uh, yeah.
Yes, AI does hallucinate and it does that more than you realize. So we always advise to put your question in and then actually ask AI, is this question correct or is your response correct? And then it will think about it and throw something else out. We did have a scenario a while ago where it literally couldn't add up. If you asked what two and two was, it just blew up and like, no, I can't tell you that. But it's learning all the time. But that's also one of the things you've got to be careful of is the learning. So your information as a charity and with trustees can be highly confidential. You don't want that out in the domain. So if your board members are using AI, you need to ask them what they're using. Because if it's an open AI, and they're uploading your documents or cutting and paste your documents into AI and saying, can you summarize it? And it's got figures in, it's got names in, etc. That's learning from that data. So even though it's not actually going to share the full thing with everybody else, it's going to use your data that you've uploaded into other people's answers. So your charity name and some of your results may actually come back to somebody else's responses. It's not always good. So we pride ourselves on a closed AI. Our AI in our system is only working for you. It is an isolated AI. It does not learn because the questions you can ask our AI are not relevant to the outside world. It is basically, what are the issues on this board paper? What do I need to look about? Can you help me generate some questions to ask about this paper. So it's worth checking that as well.
Well, let's run through a lot of questions to cover today. So, and there's more
Oh,
coming in. And do send in more questions. There's the Q&A part today. Let's start with charity boards are operating in a more complex environment than ever. So,
yeah.
what are the biggest challenges you're seeing it on board across the across the sector?
Okay. So I'm not an expert on charity governance. I will put that out there. But I would say that all organizations are facing similar challenges. We're trying to balance growing regulatory, can never say that word, compliance requirements with limited time and resources. We need to ensure that we've got the right mix of skills, the right diversity on the board. We need to make sure we're making effective decisions and working to maintain the transparency and everything that's going on. Um, and we need to ensure that we've got the capability to be able to do that. So, looking at digital governance, like I said in the slides, when you've got everything in one place and we're all working from the one document, we know that we are going to improve our governance straight away.
Well, on the term digital first governance, so we often hear that. What does it
Yep.
actually mean? And what does it mean for a charity board in practice?
Okay, so I would say digital first is the same for all boards. It's not just charity boards. So we need to encourage boards to think strategically about technology. Um, it is the boardroom is one of the last places to actually go and become digital. We've seen that before. I've seen it with education boards. You know, we were in schools. The schools are using iPads or they're using computers to do the lessons on and everything. But the people who actually run the schools and run the trusts are still getting PDF printouts sent to them in the post. So we need to look at getting the technology into the boardroom. Digital first means that you need to think about what you're using, how you're using, and what you want to use. And that will help the trustees of any organization spend their time better. And as I said in the slides, to be able to give better responses and decision making.
Well, we saw earlier in the poll the PDF and email that you mentioned, and a lot of people still relying on that.
Yeah.
So, and traditional board packs, you mentioned paper still, which is surprising to me as well.
Yeah.
What are the risks and limitations these can create?
The risks are massive. So risks such as security. When you PDF and email, let's cover that one first. So PDF and email, once you've sent that email and you've pushed send, you have zero control over where that document has gone. You're not too sure if somebody's using a shared inbox so that other people can see it. You don't know if it's being printed off. You don't know what's happening with it. So there's massive security issue there. Plus, emails are the most hacked form of communication ever. Every single day, emails are getting hacked constantly. We're always getting phishing alerts, so you don't know whether it's spam or you know phishing. So I would say move away from it. Paper, paper's even worse. Paper is you've printed it, you've put it in an envelope, and you sent it. You don't even know if your end user's actually getting the paper. There's been a lot on the BBC recently about the Royal Mail deliveries, etc coming late, your board papers may not even arrive. So they are the huge issues. Then you've got the other issues of what happens if your board paper changes. If you're still sending them out using paper, you're going to have to do that again. Send it out, do it again. The same with email. If you're sending an email, you need to ensure that the board members or trustees have seen that email
Mm.
and been able to collate the pack. Or do you then collate a new pack and send it all out again? And then you've got version control issues. So working from a central area such as a portal, you know everything's up to date because you can update your board pack instantly. You can send a message to everyone to say, this paper has been changed.
Mhm.
Please can you read? And then everybody's at the same single central source of truth is that one document.
Brilliant. Thanks so much. Karen has to leave in 5 minutes, and she
Oh,
does have a couple of questions. So I think
cool.
should we go through those? How does AI minute taking work when meeting in person? This is quite curious, and I have seen it in practice, but I'll let you go.
Yeah. Okay. So it's still very hard. Still very hard to get it in person. And I'm not going to say that our platform has resolved that. We are working really hard this year to have at the end of the year voice recognition AI in our platform. The way that we work is that we have a platform and it's designed that your board members or your trustees bring their tools with them to be able to access the platform, such as a laptop or a pad. Then what we would say to you is set up a link for a Teams meeting or a Zoom meeting, similar to like we're on today. Ask everybody just to join that link. Ask everybody to mute their speakers. And then when they speak, it's directed into their microphone. So the AI recognizes that's that person who's actually speaking. That's the workaround today. It's not brilliant, but it does work. We've tested it ourselves and we were amazed how well it did actually work. But I'm keeping my fingers crossed for the end of the year for us to have voice recognition. So keep an eye out for any announcements on that.
Brilliant, thank you. Karen has another question, and this is probably because hopefully, like the look of your slides, and it's a simple one, what's the best tool, AI tool for slides and PowerPoint? Presumably just slides there.
Um, I use a mix, to be honest with you. There are some out there. I'm very lucky that we have a paid ChatGPT account for our company. So we know it's closed, it's not learning. So we use that as well.
Mhm.
And there's one called Perplexity as well, which is very good.
Yeah. Great. Just for video, if anyone does video, I've used Synthesia, I think, and that was really good as well. So just if anyone's curious about that. AI is becoming a part of many workflows, as we kind of just discussed.
Yeah.
How should charity boards think about adopting AI responsibly? So I think a lot of, yeah, and Canva, Michelle said Canva as well, thrown down. How should a charity boards adopt AI responsibly? What steps should they take?
Okay, so I think I covered that a bit earlier in there. So you need to consider where AI is being used. So if you haven't adopted it in a portal or a system, you need to ask. If you're using AI for our board papers, what are you using, please? You need to get that covered first. You need to ensure that you've got policies in place about data prevention, them uploading data into ChatGPT or something like that. And you also need to make sure that you've got privacy policies. Um, and I would always say training. You need to ensure that they are adopting it responsibly and just run a small training course on how to use AI if you're using AI to look at your board papers if you're not in a board portal.
Nice. Thank you so much. Karen says thank you as well, by the way.
Pleasure.
Um, yeah, and on AI minutes, could you expand a bit on that, how that would work in practice and what kind of problems it solves in terms of governance?
Okay. I can only talk about our AI minutes because I don't actually have knowledge of other people's AI minutes. So in practice, records of your meeting, what it does is it records the meeting. Now, some people might say, "Oh, well, our boards don't like being recorded," for obvious reasons. That's the only way that AI minutes can work, is if it's recorded. So it will be the same for all organizations. It records the meeting, and we do a video recording and a voice recording. And then at the end of the meeting, you close that down and you push a button to generate your minutes. Um, Once you've generated that, if you have a policy with regards to recording, you can delete the recording and it's gone. And when we say it gone, it's gone. We haven't got access to your data. We can't pull it back. And then what it does is it generates minutes into well, to be honest with you, you need to see it to believe it, because I didn't actually believe it would work when that first came out. But we have this system where it says generate minutes and it's called Magic Minutes, and it moves all the transcriptions and it actually puts it under the correct agenda headings and things like that. Um, what it resolves, I think that's what you said, is it resolves massive amounts of time that's spent on getting your minutes accurate, correct. And it resolves the issue of the person who's taking the minutes having to remember things as well. So it's all done for them.
Brilliant. Just a reminder, you can still ask questions in the Q&A chat if you have any. Um, Another one. Sorry, I know I'm firing quite a lot of you. If a charity board wants to start modernizing its governance processes, what
Mhm.
are the first practical steps they should take?
That's a good question. First practical steps. Okay, I think they need to assess their board and ask the board what they would need as well, because digitalizing the process isn't just about the administration, it's about the people who've got to use it as well. So you need to look at how you want to improve your meetings. Are your meetings not running how you want them to do because of the information, or is it because of the board themselves?
Mm.
You need to look at the security and what you want to use and how you want to access them. And you also need to look at the administration work. So I would say, look at how much administration work is being done, and then how much time you can save with the board portal and digitalizing it. Um, yeah, sometimes surveying, I said survey the board and ask if they've got any issues, because they might highlight issues that you haven't even thought about with regards to your meetings, and then you can start the digital process from there.
Brilliant. Some pre-submitted question is, how can charities effectively use digital governance tools to coordinate large international volunteer networks? So quite a tough one. They've
Okay.
given the example of the digital ambassador programs, and they want to know how it can maintain transparency, accountability, and community trust. So an easy question.
Yeah, okay. Um, well, if you've got a portal or you've got a digital thing and everybody's got access to it, again, it's about being able to access the normal data. So we want to be able to create a single source of truth for those ambassadors, I presume. I'm not up in charity ambassadors, sorry, I do apologize. So with the board portal, you'd be able to set it up for the different ambassadors. They may have different information, so you're able to select and give them the information that they are only able to see. So somebody in one area of the globe and somebody in the other area of the globe, it might be totally different. So you can say this is relevant to Australia, this is relevant to the UK, this is relevant to the US, and only those people in those areas would be able to get the information. So you know that they're not moving information around. Does that make sense? Did I answer
Yeah.
that okay? Yeah.
And I think you may have to elaborate anyway, because the next question is, do you see digital governance platforms evolving to support global movements where volunteers, local communities, and organizations collaborate across different countries, time zones, cultures in real time? So I think it's kind of expanding on that. Is that possible? Is that something you see in the future?
It is possible. Boards are doing it already. So we have organizations where the head office is in the UK. We've got boards in Italy that are running from one organization. There's some in Australia, Guatemala. And so
Mm.
they are actually running an international company with one portal, and it's being spread out so that everybody's got access to the portal. There's a controller being able to control what can be seen, very similar to what I said before, and it's all independent. So you may have a meeting in Guatemala, but you don't want the people in the UK to see it. They won't see it. They won't even know it's taking place. It's as if it's a totally different portal for different areas of the world. So charities work, I would say, in exactly the same way as normal organizations. And if it's working for those, it will work for charities.
It's really interesting. Thank you. On how do organizations, this is from Anonymous, so thank you, Anonymous. How do organizations manage the risk that trustees only read the summaries and miss key details when they're preparing for meetings? I think is a really good question.
That is a really good question. That is an excellent question. Um, I would always say, as long as they've read it, they've read it.
Hmm.
Yes, there are key documents that you may want them to say read all of the documents. Then the issue there is if you survey your boards, they will come back and say to you, I cannot digest 7 pages of information about one thing to be able to get it up here. So you need to ensure if that is the issue and you're worried about that, is you need to make sure that the board papers you are actually issuing in the first place are clear and concise and digestible, not full of waffle.
Yeah.
Doesn't work.
And is there a way that they can kind of almost, when you have summaries, you can link to more detailed information if necessary? Does that make sense? Because like sometimes I find that yeah, there's a massive information, but certain bits you might actually need to go into the weeds, basically. Is that
Yeah, you can ask, you can say
yeah.
to it. So you can say, what are the risks on this financial document? And it will go down to the weeds and it will bring up the areas that is considered a risk. Then I would always say, you, like I said before, it's an assistant. It's not there to do your job. That's what people are
Mm,
thinking. It's not there to do your job. It's there to say, you need to just go and read this a bit more because the risk is in association with this. So it's highlighting an area of that report that you need to go in and in-depth read.
okay, bro.
Shouldn't
We do
rely on it.
brilliant. We
Mm,
do still have a bit of time. If there's any final questions, submit them now. I do have a question based on the poll. So a few people said on the AI poll that they were cautious. So it was this idea of they're almost there. They're not.
mhm.
What's your advice for people who are cautious and not quite sure? What would you say to take maybe first steps or things they should do to just maybe, I guess, alleviate that caution or the insecurity or whatever?
Okay. I would say go out there and try it. Go out there, and not use data, sensitive data. Just go into AI, go into ChatGPT or whatever you want to use and try it and see what it can do for you. Um, Ask it to do a food menu for the week. Say, I'm vegetarian, I like this, I like that, or whatever you are, and ask it to create a menu for the week and the shopping list that you need to do that. And honestly, if you're curious, you're not too sure, it will blow your mind because it really does work. But I understand the cautiousness, and I would say if you are a board member or a trustee, using a secure AI system within a driven built portal designed for governance is your best way forward to make sure that your information is not going around the world.
Brilliant. That's yeah,
Try it.
yeah, I mean we say a similar thing. It's you can even make up reports, make up data and see how it works. And then it will give you
Definitely.
this. I always think data visualization is quite good on a lot of them where you can see really shiny reports
Yes.
quite easily and you don't have to use real data just when you're experimenting.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely.
I think we have there's one new message. I'm just going to check. Okay, it's a final question. So that's this final question, but there is time during this question. If you do have anything pressing, throw them in there. Is there any information about how accessible for the portal how accessible the portal is for people with a vision impairment?
Okay. Yes. So we do. Um, But I say, so we do. So yes, our screen readers will work with on our portal. So we've had reports come from visually impaired people. It's been made easily to navigate so that you can push your shift key or whatever it is you use, and it will take you through the tabs and it's clear. And screen readers will be able to read the documents that are uploaded. But again, if you're cautious, you want to try it, ask if you can have a trial and see what you think.
Well, thank you, Kate, for that question. No more questions, and I think I'm aware that we have just thrown about 1,000 at you, Bob.
Yeah,
So
that was
thank you
loads.
so much. I hope everyone took something from that. I know I learned quite a lot. And that's yeah, we'll call it at that if that's okay.
Mm,
Thanks again to Bob for a great session, and thank you
thank
also
you.
much for attending. We have loads more events coming up with Charity Digital, including the Digital Fundraising Summit on the 12th of May. It's an online event. We'll pop the link into the chat, so have a look. If you could share any feedback about today's session, that would be fantastic. It's really important for us and helps us to develop our webinars a bit further. And yeah, that's all. So thanks so much again, Bob, and
Pleasure.
everyone. See
Thank
you
you.
later.